I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube Joel Sage. This is my buddy Patrick McCray. We're here to review the Phantom of the Opera from 1925. Lon Chaney, the man of a thousand faces. They do a really good job with the visual look of this movie. The light and the shadows not revealing the Phantom right away, keeping him in the dark with a great black and white film. What did you think of this film, Patrick?
I thought it was great how they kept him in the dark and didn't reveal him for a while. Just what you said. Um, I think this is a complicated movie to talk about because it's bad uh, and it's got great stuff in it. It's got landmark, important stuff in it. Um, the director was a hack who was terrible. He fought with Lon Chaney. Lon Chaney refused to pay any attention to anything he had to say for good reason. He liked feeling up the actresses, I believe, and would hold up the shoot by like making sure their legs are in the right position 32 times in a row and things like that. He was a real weirdo, from what I hear. Now, that's all could be rumor, and so if you're part of that family, I'm just recounting rumor.
Ah,
Um, but yeah, the stories are not great. It's long. I think the source material has cool stuff
yeah.
in it. I mean, the idea of this is far more interesting than the execution. It's one of the reasons why when it was put on Broadway, it was a costume designer did the sets
Yeah.
because that's going to be the most opulent thing, and you're just you're going to go with that. But I don't know if I've ever seen a version of Phantom of the Opera that's really made me go, "Oh man, what a cracker!" No, it's always just kind of been like, boy, it's like they bring everything to do a great movie, except the movie, except the part that I want to see, and so that's a challenging issue because okay, really the greatest stuff, the size of the cast.
Yeah.
Good God! I mean, it's truly magnificent in its spectacle.
Yeah.
The set, good God, that set which was standing until 2014
Mhm.
is jaw dropping.
Yeah.
And then Lon Chaney himself,
Yeah.
and it's really the most accessible way I think to see his art and the great pain he went through with the makeup, the springs in the nose, and all the other stuff to make this a memorable and important character and portrayal. So it's an hour and a half long. It probably has 10 minutes of really good footage.
Yeah.
And it's important to talk about because it's the first great Universal horror film, and it really is I think America's first great horror film.
Mm.
So it's got all that going for it. 1925, so this is its 100th anniversary, right? 2025, 1925.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 100 years old.
Yes.
Wow. So for all those reasons, I think it's good to discuss.
It's another reason too to pick this movie because with all the the sets look beautiful and they look great for this movie, in my opinion. The from the stage to and I love how they do the behind the scenes stuff. We've talked about how in Stuntman it's like but a movie within a movie or behind the scenes. You see behind the stage where they're I don't mean literally, but like where they're on the stage and they're behind the stage, and you see they're looking around like, wait, is something there?
Yeah.
And you know, it's you see the shadow, the phantom of the shadows, the phantom shadow, and that's such a neat early tease to give to the audience. And they say what's the Phantom of the Opera? And so they're shocked. This is you're right the first Universal monster. Dracula would not come till 1931.
Well, Frankenstein before that, I think, or was no Dragon was first. Dragon was
Dragon,
first.
yeah, because I think the Wolfman was created because of Dracula.
Oh, that was 1940s.
Yeah, 1940s. Yeah, but this here is your first Universal monster movie, and what a role for Lon Chaney to do. The makeup looked good, and he performed so great in it.
He does.
He really displays his acting art in this movie. If you want to know why Lon Chaney was really legendary, other than the Hunchback of Notre Dame, which he does amazing in.
He did wonderful. Guys, a good movie. That's a good movie.
That is a great movie.
Yeah.
But this here, I would also give him his flowers too, because he performs so greatly.
Oh, he's marvelous in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's so good with that actress, and the reveal of the face when the mask is off is so good.
Well, the cool thing in it is that the audience sees it before she does.
Yes.
So we're one step ahead, and so we have that split second of anticipating her horror.
Yes. It's the camera, like you're right there, like you're witnessing him sit there, and you see the mask is off, and it's like, you're like, run. I said that today when I was watching this. I'm like, run, just run. But she doesn't. And when she sees his face, it's like, oh my God, the horror. And she explains it to the guy who, she's like, you got to protect me from him. He's this monster. And he loves her voice. But just the chemistry between her and him is really good too. Between Lon Chaney and the actress who he was working with in that scene. Really, really good. And I love all the movements he does with his body. Especially the water scenes are really cool. They're really they add sort of a creep feel to the horror itself. And they add that extra element of danger too.
Well, Universal spared no expense. And that's clear. And I am always humbled when I see a silent film that completely outstrips what we do today, even with all of our CGI sort of nonsense. It just shows you what real light on a real object can do.
Yeah, it shows too that though you're right, though Universal spent they spared no expense with their set designs. It shows you what you can do with a really good set, a really talented actor, and a really wide cast. Because what also sells us way before the face reveal is the terror of the actors they're portraying, of the Phantom. I mean, even during the day, when they had that one day scene after the Phantom appeared, where they're like outside, and you could sort of sense the uneasiness of the characters. They did a real good job with body posture in this movie. Silent films aren't just light and shadow. They're all about the posturing of the body because of the actors selling the terror, especially if it's a horror movie.
So, Jewel, the technical term for that is blocking.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, the movement of actors and the posing of actors. In some cases, you can get really pointillistic with it. It's called blocking.
Cool.
Yeah.
They do a really great job of blocking. I mean, excellent in this.
Yeah.
The entire cast, especially not just when they're on stage, like performing their roles in this movie, but off stage as well. But the on stage stuff where they have to perform, do the dance movements and all that, they do an excellent job too. I don't necessarily credit the director. I more credit the cast for putting in the effort of the blocking and the movement they do. They do a great job.
Oh, sure. You know, the hold on, there's a cat here that's doing a great job to being disruptive. Before we had naturalism and realism and, trying to make dialogue sound as real as possible, there was no interest in theater in that. Of course, all this is really direct from theater. Movies are only 25 years old. And so there was a whole other acting style that had been promoted, and it was called Delsart. It was invented by a guy named Delsart. And, if you ever see somebody doing a parody of a melodrama or something like that, there are certain physical gestures that they do that are dead familiar to everybody. Like, for instance,
Okay.
that or that,
Yeah.
things of that nature. Okay, that's all from the Del Sart School. He had a book with those poses in them, and actors would memorize those poses, and they would go through them almost like pantomime when they would be acting, when they would be on stage. And, some of that was just the style of the time. Some of that was that they didn't know acting had to be realistic. I mean, you look at a lot of those, the old paintings of, warships and things like that, big expressive paintings. And they have a sense of truth, but they don't have a sense of realism. And it's not about being realistic. It's about, striking something that really grabs you at the heart. So, and that's what this Del Sart acting was like, and you still see some of it. But at this point in the silent films, that's what they had, and it was actually a good transitional move because it allowed us to get through the awkward period of silent filmmaking to where we had sound again.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. Blocking and what you just said, it made the silent films work too because you had very talented actors who were pulling this off with their posturing and with their movements and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too, one of the biggest compliments I'll give, not just this, but the Hunchback of Notre Dame, is I would say the biggest difference. The Hunchback of Notre Dame was better filmed than this a bit. With this, they really rely on their sets, but rightfully so too. With this movie, the sets I can't compliment them enough because they fit this movie. I wouldn't call this a gothic film, but I would damn sure call it a horror movie.
It is. I've often wondered if you wanted to make an actually really scary Phantom of the Opera, what you would have to do. Because I feel like you're caught between two things that don't really work that well together so far in this story. The horror and the romance.
Yeah.
And they want to kind of do both. The problem with the horror romance thing is that even for the most forgiving human being, unless they had a prior relationship with this guy or something like that, we know it's just a matter of time until she takes off that mask.
Yeah.
And then it's stick time. It's not going to be nice for anybody.
No.
So given that, is just sort of a time bomb. Now you look at the Mummy, where he can appear young.
Yeah.
If you look at Dracula looks great. He looks great all the time. She's going to look great like him if she becomes a Draculette. So all of those things mixed. What's she going to do? Get horrible facial scarring and then they'll match? That's come on. That's not going to work. And so we know the romance is sort of doomed to fail. And so then, if the romance is doomed to fail, what are we supposed to feel? Sorry for the Phantom?
Yeah.
Well, she acts like a jerk.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard to feel that sorry for him. Sorry for her. Well, we know she's just being duped until she sees the guy's face, and then she's going to be a victim. And I think there are ways to go in and fix this stuff. And I know I sound arrogant when I say this stuff can be fixed because, it's a classic. Who are you to say you can fix? Well, I can say I'm me, and this is kind of a crappy novel, and yet it has visuals. It has pieces of such theater: the mask, the chandelier, the catacombs, the gondola, all of that stuff, the removing of the mask, all of that's so great. It's just in the wrong movie. And it's never been right. It bothered me for a long time that the greatest musical, or not the highest grossing musical of all time was not good. It's not based on very good source material. It has some fine performances in it, but it's even a phony baloney in this department. He didn't write it.
Yeah.
Andrew Lloyd Webber ripped off the main melody Music of the night. Da, 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 da. That thing. He got sued. He ripped it off from Puccini. Puccini, you'll like this, Jewel. Puccini wrote an opera that's a Western.
Ooh.
Called Girl of the Golden West. And in it, that's the signature melody that gets played. And I saw a very fine performance of it with Brian Zaleski as maestro, and that point was really driven home. But the climax of it, you'll never guess, a poker game. You have an opera, a Western opera, and the climax is a poker game. How great is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, because considering that Wild Bill Hickok was killed during the poker game,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Give it a listen. It's a fun show.
I will. I'll look it up. But I'll say this with two things with Phantom of the Opera. Every time I see this version here, and when you see future versions, I always walk because Dracula had powers, right? The Wolfman could change into a werewolf, obviously. The Mummy, the Mummy could look like a normal man. He had powers too. I always wondered if they ever, and I'm not trying to give them a pass, but I always wondered because every time I watch Phantom of the Opera, if they were trying to give him the power of like suggestion in a sense, where when he talked to somebody, like he could manipulate them.
I think there's a certainly a hint of that. There's a little bit of Lamont Cranston.
Yeah, I bet.
In there.
Yeah, and this is pre-Shadow too, so that's the thing. It's like, were they maybe wanting to do that and didn't know quite fully?
I don't know.
They don't fully commit, but when he's talking, he's talking to the girl, and she's believing in him in every way, especially when you're watching this and even future versions. So it's like, were they always wanting to give the Phantom the power of suggestion?
I'm not certain. I believe LaRue wrote, not Lash LaRue, but Gaston LaRue, wrote a sequel to this. I think he wrote at least a treatment of it for movies, because he was around when they made the movie. And I also know that Nicholas Meyer wrote one of his Sherlock Holmes crossovers.
Ooh.
About Sherlock Holmes and the Phantom of the Opera, and I have no doubt that Nicholas Meyer gave him some good stuff to do. I don't remember the particulars, but I remember I really liked the Herbert Lom version. Yeah. I really liked that. That Hammer did. Yeah. It's it's so complicated because it's an abstract character.
Yeah.
Whose life is dedicated to the opera, which immediately, nixes out 90% of your audience. Yeah. They'll say that they care, but not really. This opera guy. And that's a shame. That says everything bad about, human race. But that's where we are. So, whatever backstory he's given or whatnot, it's tough. I really think it's one of those things, and you almost have to Dracula too. It's blasphemy to say. It's one of those things where you really have to sit down and say whether it's a visual moment or whether it's an interpersonal moment or whatever. We need to be very mindful of the moments that make this work. What do we want? Well, we know that we want the chandelier crashing. We know that we want the unmasking. Yeah. We know that we want a man longing for something he cannot get, living in the rafters of this massive building that's supposed to be dead for most of the day. We love the idea that there's this packed backstage and undercarriage full of these old props and things like that, and there's someone living underneath, like V in V for Vendetta or something like that. That stuff's all really good. I would almost say V for Vendetta is a better Phantom of the Opera than Phantom of the Opera, because it has very clear echoes. You ever seen V for Vendetta?
Yes, good movie.
It's a great movie. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Really good.
But you've got the mask, you got the longing for the woman, you've got all of those things. I think if she is really motivated to be with him,
Mm-hmm.
if she's really motivated to stick up for him, and to not care about the face,
Mm-hmm.
to immediately see beyond it, there's a moment of shock, but that becomes, I think, a more interesting story.
Mm-hmm. You could do so many things with that too. You could. It's sort of like Beauty and the Beast, where Belle sees beyond the Beast in a sense,
Yes.
and where you could have had a moment. Literally, I'm not saying they had to do it in this movie, but they could have did it where where she's approaching him and he has the mask on, and she wants to take the mask off because she does see beyond it in a sense, but she wants to see what he looks like. She's curious, but she's not afraid either. Maybe because of events in her life, or she's just that in love with him. That's something you could have had in this film. They don't, because again, they're trying to apply the horror to one
Sure.
but they don't. I also think too, if they were going to go for the power of suggestion, where again, this is a silent film, but you could also do this in a future text of Phantom of the Opera because it's a musical. Have his power of suggestion be through his music, where he's singing, and it's sort of hypnotic in a way.
While his music is playing,
Yeah,
he's seen as normal.
yeah, yeah.
Boy, that gives him a lot of reason to want that play to be on, want his opera to be played. Yeah. Wow, that's a humdinger. He's scrambling away before intermission, and that's something else. That's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's just because again, if all the Universal monsters have an ability, you need to give one to the Phantom, really.
Yeah, I mean, his ability is swinging on chandeliers and but like every Ritz Brothers movie has an ape that can do that. So I'm not impressed.
Yeah, that's the thing too. The stunts are really good in this movie too. The chandelier swinging and stuff. I think that's a part of too what makes the Phantom fun. It's like it's not just the look or the in the shadows. It's all the cool stunts he gets to do, and it's like you're so impressed by this. And if they ever bring the Phantom back to stage to for the world to see it, that's a great thing to go watch. By the way,
well, have you seen Phantom of the Paradise?
No, I don't think so.
I'll tell you what, they fix a lot of it because he becomes this great composer of music after he started up, but because of it, deal with the devil, and the devil is kind of sort of taking credit kind of for a lot of his stuff, and so the Phantom has an enemy who we dislike even more, and we feel sympathetic to the Phantom, even though he's a real nice to be. If you haven't seen Phantom of the Paradise, it's one of Brian De Palma's first movies. It's a music by Paul Williams. You would certainly, if I showed you a slide of it, recognize the costume and the helmet that the bad guy wears, or the Phantom wears. The bad guy is Swan, the devil, played by, as I said, Paul Williams, which is marvelous. Jewel, it's a movie you should really see. You would like it a lot.
What's it called?
It's called Phantom of the Paradise.
I'll definitely check it out.
If you haven't seen it, it's a rock musical, but it's a parody of rock music. It is pre-Rocky Horror.
Okay.
And Jessica Harper unleashes the best set of lungs in Hollywood. And what a singer! Jesus God!
Like a good knockoff of Phantom of the Opera is in an episode of MacGyver, in my opinion, called Cleo Rocks.
Okay.
Where Murdoch...
We've talked about this.
Yeah, Murdoch hires Penny Parker, MacGyver's friend, to perform on stage. And MacGyver, to be a good friend, goes to support her. All the while, Michael Desparis is sitting there in a wheelchair. And he's basically being the Phantom of the Opera. He's haunting Penny in every way. And he's leaving he's sabotaging certain things. They do a really good, and I love the fact that Michael writes the song Cleo Rocks within the movie, within the show, sorry, within the episode. He writes the song. But it's a fun episode. It's crazy. It's Murdoch trying to murder MacGyver and Pete Thornton. So,
yeah. Daniel Carr.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god.
Don't mess with the Dana.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. When did you first see this movie?
I was about to ask you the same question.
I first saw this movie when I was in high school. Sorry, God.
I first showed the movie when I was teaching high school, and so that was the first time I saw it.
Oh, when I saw it.
Now we're frozen.
I saw it in 1997. This movie here.
That was around the time I first showed it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was around that time. Yeah, it was 97, 98, so within a few years. Yeah. And I liked it. I appreciated it. But even then, I knew I was kind of asking the students a lot to watch it.
I actually saw this.
It's no Bride of Frankenstein.
No, but I love when they showed this on Turner Classic Movies on television. It was 1 a.m. Real late on a school night. My mom was like, "Get to bed." I'm like, "Mom, I want to see this Phantom of the Opera movie." She's like, "Okay, but as soon as it's over, you're going to bed." I'm like, okay.
That's it. As I've said it before, I'll say it again. That's a good mom. Yeah, she didn't let school get in the way of your education.
Yeah, she said, "You better be up for school in the morning." I was, and I was like, she's like, "Aren't you tired?" I'm like, "Yeah, but you told me I better be up and not complain."
Yeah, it's a good tired.
It's a good tired. Yeah, it's absolutely. But it was a fun watch, and it still is. Lon Chaney just delivers in every way in this movie, and the set designs. If you really want to go back and appreciate how hard work production pays off, watch this movie for that reason alone.
I a lot of feelings about this. Back in 1992, when Babylon 5 was being put together, John Iacovelli talked about the future of scenic design was basically going to be digital. And boy, George Lucas really proved that. And while that was kind of wondrous, it always sounded a little bit like Toontown to me. And the grandeur of this movie is something that can't be replicated in the era of digital, because whether or not it looks real, we go in with the knowledge that it could be digital. And back in the day,
I can't hear you.
What's going on? I'm back. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Now I can't hear you.
I'm muting.
There we go. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I'm a slave to these things. Something profound. Oh yeah. It's either a matte painting, which is beautiful, and that Albert Whitlock has been there until God knows what in the morning, putting every detail in there, or it's real. In either case, it was something real, by God, that a craftsman put his time into, and didn't just smear some digital crap around. And I say that as someone who smears digital crap around partly for a living. So I really, there is something justifiably awe-inspiring when you see something like that. Yeah. Even when it's a goofy miniature, that you appreciate the audacity that they're trying to fool us with it. And someone somewhere thought, oh, sure, we'll just overcrank the waves. It'll look real. No, it doesn't. But thanks for trying. But this is real. Oh, boy, he's putting the heat on now.
My daughter's singing, sorry. But anyway, what do you give this movie? Scale 1 to 10.
Oh, I mean, for historic importance and for Lon Chaney Jr., you got to give it a 10.
Definitely.
You got to give it a 10, a qualified 10, but a 10.
Yeah, it's
Well,
just from this, just how much work the production put in for the sets.
mhm.
Universal did a hell of a job. This movie still holds up today. 100
It
years
does.
100 years later, this one holds up.
I agree completely.
So go watch it. It's on National. It's on the Internet Archives. Go check it out. Patrick, is there anything you want to add before we go, man?
Let's see if we can get Alan to watch Phantom of Paradise and come back and talk about that.
How's Tuesday?
That works for me. Did we have something else planned for Tuesday?
I don't think so.
Good. Let's do that.
All right, I'll see you Tuesday night. I'll go check out Phantom of Paradise. It is
Phantom of the Paradise.
Phantom
You'll love
of
it.
Paradise.
Yeah.
Link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Day book of Balance is going to be in the description box. And even though our buddy Alan couldn't be here, link to Shell Call Sport After Dark is going to be in the description box.
Bet.
Have a good night, Patrick.
Take care, sir.
Bye. Bye.